And here we are, Roddy. Game number 1. It's a big map. Maybe this means we don't get crazy shenanigans, but that's not what we want. In the upper right, in the blue, MacSed.
And that obviously means that in the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the mad scientist himself. He has given us a lot of giggles over the years, but also a couple of great games. And of course, we always have to honor that magical run he had once upon a time at the DreamHack Masters Valencia. This is Psystorm Gaming's Has.
So, Roddy, if you were a betting man, and I know we talked about the shenanigans that these players can pull off, but if you were a betting man, do you have a favorite? Like, is it 3-gate robo? Is it proxy 4-gate? Is it absolutely nothing at all? I mean, we do see gate double gas here, so it is not going to be some sort of gate first expand like Max Packs would do on EU, but if you're a betting man, what you go for?
It's very hard. Like, I do think that if you are very solid, honestly, the best opening is Stalker Sentry into Sentry Stalker, or into Double Stalker into Double Sentry, and you just expand from there. But you need to be proper good, and you need to be proper confident in your expand. I think obviously on maps with the ramp, the 1-gate fast expand is superior. There's a reason why we see everyone do it. There's a reason why we see everybody trying to break max specs when he does it, because if he gets away with it, he's just in a good spot. On a map like this, you know what's funny is that a while ago I really thought that 4-gate Blink Stalker on 1 base, this is kind of a terrible build, right? It's like, oh, that's not good. That's not supposed to work. But it works pretty much all the time. They just have so many freaking Stalkers, and it reaches the point where they one-shot units. So shield batteries become a lot less impactful because a battery cannot heal up a unit that gets one-shotted. So I wouldn't hate that one. It seems that MacSed is going to try to expand. Has is actually opening up with 2 adapts. That could lead into more adapts, could lead into oracles, could still lead into 3-gate robo, right, where they can even drop the adapts in the main base. But MacSed is showing us that he is confident in his ability to get an expand up and running and take the game from there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like that double adept opening, I mean, we definitely see it. But I feel like it is something that we see maybe a little bit less of, especially now that Sentry build time has been buffed a little bit. They're a little bit faster. You're able to kind of guarantee that scout with a kind of Stalker Sentry opener. So for now, though, Haas has it, and he is not going to go into that 6-8 adept idea that we do see some players go for. Instead, Stalker's behind. They're going to go that natural down, and it's just 2 slightly different approaches to the same opener. That's not good.
It's MacSed. Okay, that's unfortunate. Yesterday we had XY dropping out. His game crashed. Okay, fortunately for MacSed, that's not happening. Seems like the players are just good to continue. You guys got a quick glimpse at Bio and Roddy. So now you guys know that we are still behind our computer when we are casting video games. I mean, I don't know about revealing those state secrets there, Biomo.
No, I'm clear. This is actually just a hologram that I got set up before the broadcast. I'm actually like lying in bed right now. I got the game projected on the ceiling, and that's how this is going. It's real magic. You should invest.
I believe it. I am honestly very surprised that both of these guys basically made 2 units and expanded. Has was even able to expand a bit quicker. The opening of MacSed is totally fine, right? Stalker Sentry into expand. I have to admit that Has's opening is pretty wild. 2 adapts into an expand. That's obviously very vulnerable against so many different openings. If MacSed would have opened up with 4 Stalkers, he runs them to the other side of the map. I think you're already in trouble with your double adept opening and your super early Nexus, but Has is a man that does not shy away from taking a risk and rolling the dice, and he gets away with it, and it obviously catapults him into a pretty sweet mid-game here. Like, we're 4 minutes in, he's got a 5 worker lead, he's got Blink on the way, while MacSed is Twilight Council still being produced. So far, so good for the man from Taiwan.
There we go, MacSed. Oh, no, he doesn't. He cancels the shade, so the Adepts are going to get it anyways. But Force Fields seem like they're going to do a... Well, actually, wait a minute here. Probe will go down, and it's going to be a full scout of the main base, so... Yeah, it's not game-ending probe damage. A nice micro does mean that second probe, that third probe will stay alive. But Haas gets out. He gets a shade into the natural, where unfortunately shield battery means he won't get any kills. But that's a decent amount of mining time loss. That's a lot of just chaos. And okay, it's going to shade into the main base again. But he's not going to get another probe. But it's a full scout. It's chaos. It's just all these things that make Haas even happier. Maintain his lead. In fact, he's up 11 workers right now, Roddy.
Well, he's up 7 workers.
Oh, sorry, I can't do math. That's a problem. He was up 9 when I said it. Okay, not 11. There we go.
I thought you were the PhD man between us, mate. Come on now.
Hey, Roddy, I'm going to give you a bit of a secret here. At a certain point, math stops using numbers.
Yeah.
And that's my excuse. It's not a good one.
All right. No, but your point stands. He is economically ahead. Has done a great job in cranking out workers and obviously just keeping MacSed busy. Maybe MacSed dropped the ball a tiny bit on pro production while he was making sure he wasn't losing any probes to those adepts. Obviously, he was forced to pull a couple probes away. So he's just falling a little bit further ahead economically. Has is a very simple, straightforward Protoss, right? Just because he's got a economic lead, that doesn't mean that, oh, now he has the confidence to drop the Robo Bay and maybe the second Robo. No, I see Has as a guy that's good in building workers if he wants to, but then he has a simple follow-up, and that's most likely just going to be 1,000,000 Zealots and Stalkers. He's going to spam units, he's going to aim move, and it's obviously very hard to deal with that if you are economically behind, because it's a numbers game, and Has absolutely is going to have more units than MacSed for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there was a timing... okay, it wasn't really a timing, but there was a period of time where Max said, yeah, you know, the supplies were actually fairly equal because the economy very much in Haas's favor. Army supply very much in MacSed's favor, but that was never going to be a timing when MacSed could do something. The difference was 3 sentries, and yeah, they can be powerful, but with shield batteries, you're not going to press through that. So now, Haas has the full benefit of that early economy that he's been able to build for himself. He's up 4 workers. He's not up 7, 8, 9 like he was because he did cut droning or cut probing to make sure he got to that 3rd base, but +1. Immortals. Blink is done. I mean, if the world's an oyster, then I think Haas owns it.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that he didn't fire up charge, but right when I was going to talk about it, he does start up charge, but it's still going to take a little while. Now, the good news is that this upgrade doesn't take too long to complete, especially now that you throw a chrono boost at it or 2. Gateway counts are important. It's 5 against 4 at the moment, but I'm surprised to see Has take another assimilator. That almost gives me the idea that he wants to drop a Templar Archives in the near future, right? Because otherwise, what are we going to do with all that gas, man? Like, we don't need this many assimilators if we just want to build a couple of Stalkers and Immortals. So, and especially not if we want to spam Zealots. So I guess we're heading into a relatively early Templar Archives on the side of Has.
I mean, Roddy, I'm not sure that's going to matter here. There is no Forge coming in for MacSed right now. He's got 8 gateways. He's just running across the map. He's trying to end this game before Haas can get full advantage of things. And now Haas has to blink up on the high ground. 2 gateways depowered, and he doesn't have defensive blinks because he had to blink to get up here. But even still, the Concave is fantastic. Now he's going to blink forward, but he doesn't target the Warp Prism. He gets some damage on the Stalkers. He keeps himself alive, but you cannot help but feel here, Roddy, that could have been so much better for Haas.
Yeah, but I still think he handled it well. Like, sure, he lost the pylon, but more importantly is that he protected all the probes. He got into the main base immediately, where he didn't make it awkward that he had to blink into Zealots and stuff. Like, he was right there. He reacted when he needed to react. And MacSed, I think, was hoping for that to just linger on a little bit longer, right? There are the extra gateways, by the way, that I was mentioning a while ago. So Has is going to be able to spam a lot of Zealots, a lot of Stalkers, but there is also our Templar Archives. And I guess maybe that's because he knows MacSed has a bunch of sentries, or at least he used to have a bunch of sentries, and then you have something that can break force fields, right? Because obviously Zealots and Stalkers can be a bit derpy if you're attacking into a guy that's sitting there with a bunch of sentries and you have nothing to break a force field. That's where Archons come in real handy. Not super useful in fighting Stalkers, pretty good against Zealots obviously, but more importantly, they can break the force fields.
Yeah, that they can. So Haas, he's got a 4th base on the way. Unfortunately for him, MacSed should be able to cancel this very quickly. And you know, talking about that last fight, Roddy, is we're going to see a couple Zealots drop into the main base. Recall gets forced out here. I really did think that was going to be done with charge timing, right? As well, actually, life's about to get really complicated here for Haas because the Stalkers have found his army. That Immortal is very exposed. War Prism's going to go down. And the recall was used, so these Zealots, they're going to get dealt with in the main. But the problem is this army on the left side. And MacSed, pretty superior Concave here. But Roddy, doesn't matter. +2 versus +0 means these Stalkers, they're just so much better.
Yeah, that really was the game changer there, because technically MacSed had a couple of good moves there, but he's down 2 freaking upgrades, and even when he sniped the Prism, he's still fighting so close towards that 9 o'clock base, so Has was able to warp in units for days, And even though he ended the game with 1100 gas in the bank, never made a single Archon, it did not matter. He had 2 upgrades. MacSed had no upgrades. And MacSed had good moves there, right? He definitely pulled a lot of units out of position, kind of caught the army out of position, but it was just an unfair fight because the units of Haas were a whole lot better than the units of MacSed. Very strong and actually somewhat macro-oriented first game by Haas, but I have to still say that his opening, that's cheating, Biomorph. Like, you cannot go 2 adepts and drop a Nexus. That is so bad against so many openings that MacSed could have gone for. And it's not that Haas scouted, oh, I can go 2 adepts into an expand. No, that's just something that he did, and he hoped he got away with it, and he did get away with it. But that's not something how you can open every single game.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here as well is, actually, I don't know if this is a decision by ESL, but we have had... I want to say, okay, no, there were a couple yesterday, but at least today, every single series has been that we've had thus far in the Asian region has been former Chinese region versus former Taiwanese Hong Kong region. So this is not one of those things where we can say that, yeah, you know, it's just because JC and MacSed, or Haas and MacSed, they play each other like every other week in different tournaments, and therefore they have this experience, and Haas just knew that MacSed was going to open up Stalker Sentry, not put on a lot of pressure, so he can get away with it. No, he doesn't have that knowledge. He does not have that understanding of things, I could assume. So, yeah, Haas, greedy Haas.
Yeah, no, for sure. And MacSed, even though he is a guy that can macro, and we know that especially in the old days, he was a big fan of just Phoenix, Colossus defensive play. If I think of all the games that I've seen of MacSed over the last 3 to 6 months, he's pretty aggressive, man, especially in PvP. He's absolutely willing to go for some of those one-base openings, whether it's Proxy Stargate or a Robo in the center of the map. So for Haas to do that, I thought it was a bit crazy, but hey, it worked out in a beautiful manner. And he also created that 11 worker lead early on. So, yeah, he just kind of capitalized on that video and he ran away with it. Solid game by Haas, man. And this is one of these games where I think if you would have hide the name tags, I would have never guessed, like, oh, yeah, this looks like MacSed versus Haas. Hell no. Like, it looked like 2 European Protoss nerds that were willing to macro, but one of them got a bit cheeky. So, surprising way of this first game to play out. Haas took the 1-0 lead, and let's see what game 2 has in store for us.
Yeah, certainly a different map. Royal Blood. Hey, Roddy, as we get into this, I can't help but think the answer is no, but this is Haas here. Does someone take the gold early?
In PvP, that would be wild, but these boys are wild, so normally my answer is no. Now that it's MacSed against Haas, I'm like, maybe BO, but probably no.
Yeah, well, you know, we can dream. It's probably not going to happen, but if it did, that'd be fun. And the upper right here in the blue for Invictus Gaming. Please, give me a game 3. It's MacSed.
I think you'll get your wish, BO. I'm still standing by it. In the bottom left side, looking at the main base, the man who took a pretty convincing 1-0 lead there. He focused on upgrades, he focused on macro, created the lead, and never let go. Our Taiwanese Protoss player, it's Haas.
Might you say, Roddy, that he got into the mid-game rather hostily?
Yeah, I can get behind it.
Okay, that's enough of that. I'm sorry.
You know, that was very close to a Dutch word, which would be haastige.
And what does that Dutch word mean, Roddy?
Basically rushing, because there is a Dutch expression that says, or that goes the following: haastige spoed is zelden goed, which basically means that nothing really good comes out of rushing into things, but, well, he rushed into that mid-game, and it's safe to say that good things did happen to him, so that expression did not hold up for game 1.
Well, you know, this makes sense. Haas is a Taiwanese player, and he is not Dutch, so I guess that makes sense, Roddy, and idioms only hold in the culture in which they've been created.
Well, we do have a pylon being built in the center of the map. Once in a blue moon, the pylons are fake because MacSed is obviously scouting the main base of Haas. And then he's like, oh no, a pylon is missing. And then they're going to be defensive. And then nothing happens. And Haas actually just expands. But I don't think that's the case this time around. This pylon is real. And is it for a robo then? Or is it for a gate based on the amount of gas we have? I think it's a robo. And then we're probably going to build one more gateway at home.
Yeah, most likely. The big tell, of course, is the fact that the probe was kept with the pylon. Otherwise, normally, the probe goes out. It goes for a scout, something like that. But not this game. It's a Roddy. It's almost like, you know, PvP or something. That will, in fact, be a robo. Gateway Not there, not just yet. But Huss, a little bit more aggressive this game, number 2, compared to the odd, the cheesy macro game he played in game 1.
What's kind of cool is that for a little while there was a Zealot on the production tab, and that is something that I'm familiar with, where if your opponent's probe is in the main base, you want to make sure that he sees both gateways are working, right? When you see the little sprinkle coming out of the top of the gateway, you know it's building something. You don't want to make it too obvious that you are proxying, so the Zealot is the cheapest unit you can make. And then the probe sees 2 working gateways, and eventually it has to leave, otherwise the probe dies, and then you still cancel the Zealot. But that Zealot was like 70% done, and I was like, is he gonna let the Zealot finish up? Is it really stock his Zealot? That would be wild. But then Has did cancel the unit. But so far, he is selling it well, but MacSed, I want to say he's not doing anything too crazy yet, but he will still go for the low ground expand. Now, Stargate can be decent. I still favor Hazy though. However, this is a big scout, but these 4 Stalkers need to run back. They cannot fight Big Daddy the Immortal.
Yeah, they cannot here. They get the probe, so no forward pylon, but yeah, just dead Stalker here. It's a good scout though, right? This means that you absolutely get a Void Ray coming out of this Stargate. It means you drop shield batteries going down. At least MacSed has some forewarning now.
Yep, there is the Void Ray. I think it's so hard to defend that Nexus, but at this point, MacSed has the low ground pylon, and he's like, nope, I'm committed. I'm just gonna go for it. I believe I can do this. Obviously, when it comes to batteries, the more the merrier. But the one big problem is still when Has is going to get, let's say, 7 to 8 Stalkers, right? Because Overcharge is just not as good as it used to be, and it's a lot more doable to one-shot a Void Ray. The Stalker count has already gone up. We need that Void Ray right here, right now. Obviously, there is no Overcharge. If the Nexus isn't done yet, I love how fast Has is going about this. Can he kill one of these batteries? The answer is yes. Here comes the Void Ray, though, so MacSed will be able to push this back. MacSed needs another battery, another Void Ray, and he needs to make sure that he times his overcharges very wisely. It's going to be a difficult hold for MacSed, Bio.
That it is. The Zealots now they're going to run forward, and there we go. Shield battery overcharge gets popped with the Void Ray. One more shot. No, it stays alive. Last shot there. So a little bit more damage. Now the Immortal takes half damage here, but the problem is, of course, Roddy, shield battery overcharge, it's over now. And this Void Ray, well, it has literally 1 HP.
Yeah, but basically every single time you have a Void Ray that can use prismatic alignment, you're going to be confident. So it's kind of now or never for Has. He needs to take a great fight. 2 Void Rays are going to come. That low HP Void Ray is going to get one shot at the other. Void Ray does not have an overcharge to rely on, so you need to micro it. But look at them slow Zealots. They're actually getting a decent amount of hits off. MacSed, the next Void Ray is going to take a little while, and this is where we're going to take a look at the timing of overcharge. We're going to need to survive another 10 seconds or so before overcharge number 2 is ready. These are the scariest seconds of MacSed. His life pulls the Void Ray back immediately. Slow Zealots are kind of getting picked off one by one. Stalkers go for the Void Ray. Stalkers will be able to kill a couple of the Stalkers of MacSed. That Void Ray falls, and it seems that Has is gonna get the 2